Now, what is up, my fellow prod coders? Welcome to this video, and today we'll continue working on our server-to-server communication with JSON Web Tokens, specifically with JSON Web Signature and the HMAC digital signature. So in the last video, we already finished the build token method in this token service. So that was pretty straightforward. And now what we need to do is we need to actually write some logic for the routes we have, because at the moment we're not doing anything in here. And to do this, I will just make a directory, and I'm just going to call this controller, because I don't want to put the logic in here. Like, that's a very, very bad practice. I see a lot in tutorials or in other videos, like they just put the logic directly in here. That's like not good. If you have anything, if you have an application that is not trivial and you put like the logic here, your code is going to be a huge mess. So that's why I will just make two controllers. So I'm going to say consumer.js, and I think I will also create producer.js. Now let's maybe start with the consumer, because that's a little bit easier. So this will be the endpoint that will be called if we send some data from one server to another. Okay, so what we're just going to do is we're just going to load our configuration. So I'm going to say require config, and I think that's it. And then we make a function. We say consume request response. And I think what we need to do is we will just make some console log. But let's export this before we forget it. Like this, and let's make a couple of console logs here. Now in production, as I already mentioned, do not use console log because console log is not asynchronous, so it blocks the main thread, and this is pretty bad, especially if you are using something like Node. But for this tutorial, I think it's fine. So what we're just going to do is we're going to write a log message, and we're going to put the server name here in brackets so that, again, we know what the server name is. And then afterwards, we are just going to dump the payload. So I'm just going to say stringify request.body null 2. So that will give us like some pretty printing, I would say. And then we can I think we can just copy this line, and then I will say decode a token. So not only do we want to show the request body, but we might also want to show the token. Now in reality, you might not, or you will definitely not do this. So we will not log the token anywhere. But yeah, I mean, for this tutorial, it's fine. So I'm just going to add like a comment like don't use console log and prod because it is not async, right? And I think then we can just send status 2 of 4. So status okay, but no response. Yeah, so that should be it. And what else do we need? We now have the consumer, and the producer will be a little bit more difficult, I think, but it will be okay. So if we call this produce endpoint, what we want to do is we want to send a request to our partner server. And I think for this, we will definitely need the token service, right? So because we need to generate a JWT token, and we will use our token service to do this. And we will most probably also need our configuration because we need to know where the partner server is reachable. And I'm also going to include Axios just to make the request. Okay, so the first thing that I will do is I will make the payload for the token. So, or like some custom claim, just to show you that this is possible. So I'm going to say token payloads, and I will say token origin, and then I will say this token was created by config.server name. Now, of course, this is a pretty useless payload, and in reality, you would not send it, especially because you should pay attention that the content of your token does not get too big. But like for this tutorial, it's just fine because I just want to show you how it works. And then what we can do is we can just build this token. So we can say token service dot build token, and we're going to give it the server name and the token payload. And now I have to check one more thing. So this build token thing, yeah, so the subject, no, hold on a second, like the subject is basically the user ID, so to say, of the other server. So I think it should be the partner server name. Because the subject is basically, you can think of it like a client ID, like something that uniquely identifies the like the other party. Okay, now I'm thinking like what this could be. We don't have like some partner server hosts. Yeah, we only have this server name here, but we don't have, oh, we do have partner server name actually. Okay, that's good. So I'm just going to say this. Yeah, I think that should be fine. And apart from that, what else do we need? We need some configuration for the request we're about to do, but I'm just going to show you that in a second. So what we will do is we will say, I'm just going to console log something. And I'm going to say config.server name. So I'm just going to print something out just to log what we're doing. Server name, and then we will say sending request to consumer. And this will be localhost and config.partnerserver port. Actually, it should be like this, and then config.partnerserver host. Yes. So what we're going to say is, okay, we're just going to make a log message so that we know what we're doing. So this will be very handy once we try this thing out. And what else do we need? Well, we need a catch. But now we actually need to make the request. So I'm just going to say, yeah, maybe const URL. And I'm going to create this URL. And I think we already have it over here. We could actually put this into its own variable. Maybe that would make sense. Let's just say const partner. It's kind of hard, right? What is this? The server host and the server name. Like what? How is this called together? I don't know. Maybe we can just do it like this. I think we should come up with a better name for it. But I will just take this and remove this, and then we can use this one over here, and now we already have it, so we can say partner server / API. Maybe we can name this partner server host and port, but that's kind of really long. I don't like this, but yeah, it's at least a little bit clearer. Okay, so we have this URL, and we need to send like the token in the header. So before we now do our axios.put or axios.post, we need to create an object that will actually contain our created JWT token. So I will just say const request config equals, and in Axios you put all the headers inside of this headers object. So I will just create authorization bearer colon and space and then token. Okay, so that should be good. And yeah, now we have the request configuration, so we can just make this call. We can say we can make this function async, and then we will do await axios.post URL. We need some payload and we need the request config. And I think, yeah, so we have some token payload. So this is like what we put inside of the token itself. And then we also need some request payload, right? It would at least make sense. So I'm just going to create a new variable and I'm just going to say origin, and like this message is in the body of the HTTP request and comes from config.servername. Okay, so that's it, and we can put the payload here. Yeah, and I think I made this, oops, this is wrong. I need to put this over here, sorry. Yeah, and in case of an error, what can we do? We can just print the error out. So I'm just going to say console error. And again, I will just copy this. And then data exchange failed, or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, let's maybe just dump the error. And then we will return an internal server error. So .json is like something went wrong. And in case all of this succeeds, we can actually also print a log message just to know that everything went well. So we can say data exchange successfully finished. And yeah, then we can go down and we can just return status 204. Actually, we don't need this return, but we do need to export. Okay, I think that should be it. Oh, I already see we are already 13 minutes. So let's just stop the video right here. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. You can also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @productioncoder. And also I put a link in the video description down below. So if you're interested in more content and you want to have a say in what we build next on this channel, you can sign up for this email list and then like we can align. Cool. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video.